So as we move on to the closing session of the first virtual International Women's Day 2022 at Tookitaki, I have two super women, I would like to term them like that, and who have lived being you in the most competitive, evolving risk and compliance industry. So ladies and gentlemen, I think first put up your hands together for Grace Feng, an ACE governance, risk and compliance professional. She's a keen advocate for effective policymaking and better regulatory ecosystem. She has been in the industry for 28 years and her served various governance roles in new products, AI solution, and business operations across Monetary Authority of Singapore, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of China, to name a few. Welcome, Grace, and thanks for being a part of this. Our second panelist this evening is an ex-regulator, banker, and now a successful partner with Deloitte. Please welcome a known name and face and a leader in financial crime compliance in Southeast Asia, Radish Singh. Welcome, Radish, and thank you for being a part with us.
Thank you, Jeeta. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks, Jeeta, and very glad to have Radish here. We know each other actually. It's our honor to be here to attend this event.
Thank you both for coming here. So we expect our I'm just setting some house rules for the panel. So we expect our panelists to be candid and above all being you. So that's the expectation from you. So on that note, let's start our story, maybe with your story as women in risk and compliance. So maybe either Grace or Radish, you guys can, any one of you can go ahead and share your story. How, we want to know all the exciting things that you have lived actually in this male-dominated risk and compliance.
Go for it, Grace.
Okay. Well, I think, all right, okay. I think I will start my story. I was listening to, I think this Kira or Alice was talking about, in the past, women will be, the engineering team is full of men, right? And now start to moving into this. So I just wanted to actually share probably a bit of different of myself. I actually have a EEE degree. So I started with engineering line. I've done a professional engineer for about 5 years. Really tough job, being a woman in a construction line in Singapore, such a hot weather. And I remember the early days, I had to climb up the scaffolding in the morning and to really understand survey the site. And then afternoon, I have to kind of change to a power suit to meet the architect, so you actually deal with those things. And post pursuing my MBA, I actually joined Big Four, like Radish, not Deloitte. I joined Ernst & Young, right, one of the Big Four, to do the business risk. That time was like probably more than 25 years ago, when the risk management was forefront, like a pretty pioneer scene in this part of the world, largely due to the Enron case, all those fraud case in the world. And I remember the very famous case at that point in time in Singapore was the SIA fraud, right? To fake all those crew members and the flights itself to get the allowance. So pretty interesting in the space of risk management. I mean, if I had time, I can share more of the interesting story in China, in all this, to do the fraud investigation. So post that, I actually moved kind of flying a lot. I would say kind of a high flyer in that sense, flying a lot, faced a very difficult decision at the height of my career to settle down family, right? So I think every woman would face that, to make that decision if you so choose to have a kid or start a family, right? So I kind of chanced upon to join Monetary Authority of Singapore. I spent a good 6 over 7 years there. I have the policy making, the license supervision, enforcement. I was kind of lucky enough to go through the most hard time of the last GFC, global financial crisis. So I was in the key team in investigation Lehman Brothers cases in Singapore scene. I have seen through the regulatory landscape change in Singapore post GFC, right? And then I moved out to the private sectors, have worked in the financial industries or rather banks, right, for past more than 1 decade. And just as part of my introduction of myself, I have 2 boys. I have 2 turtles, and I recently had 2 kittens. So that's kind of a brief introduction of myself. Yeah. Maybe I pass over to you, Radish.
Right, thanks, Grace. Look, I think what an amazing story, right? Your career journey is so amazing. So, similarly, I mean, I'm legally trained, and then I did an MBA in finance. So that was my choice in terms of how, what I wanted to study. But then I, started off with a law firm, and I didn't quite like legal practice at all. I thought, oh, this is such a waste of time. This is not like LA law on TV. So let's go do something else, right? I joined then a conglomerate. I was in-house counsel for a number of years, and we did really amazing work because it was a group legal affairs. So a lot to learn there. And very quickly from there, I moved on to work with a regulator, and I did, I think I worked with 2 regulators in total, possibly about 10 years with regulators, policy making, legislative drafting. That was sort of the background, and then I did some supervision work as well, but I didn't do inspections. I provided a legal view on inspection findings. What would the next course of action be? And then I joined, from there, I actually then joined 2 global banks and then consulting, right? So, I've done from being in the industry to being a regulator to being in consulting today. I think the journey has, when I look back, it's really enriching, right? It's full of trials and tribulations, no doubt, but it's been rewarding in many ways. The work that I do, safe to say, right? Safe to say that a lot of the successful professionals in the field that I have been in have been male colleagues, right? So often there have been challenges where, for example, if you take my current role in forensic practice, I'm the only woman, the only Singaporean in that practice, right? So it's always been, quite interesting, I would say, right? Interesting perspective to, to the diversity and inclusion that we bring into our practice. I am until next week the diversity and inclusion leader for Deloitte Southeast Asia, and we believe also in looking at promoting women, right? Supporting women is a motto I live by, and we always look at marriage again. I think Kiran made that point earlier, that it's not about just supporting women for the sake of it. We support women because women do bring a lot of skills, talent, and perspective to the table, and they need to be recognized for it, right? Intellectually, insofar as the cognitive capability is concerned, women are equivalent to men. I think that's the sort of something that we need to, as women, we need to accept, we need to imbibe, and we need to believe that we can do it. And I share a story of when I very first time, met Jeeta. That was actually at a client's place. We were doing the validation work, and Jeeta was, on the vendor side. And I can tell you that in every discussion with the vendor, I used to come back to my office and tell my colleagues that it's all men, because we were talking about technology, we were talking about AI, we were talking about machine learning. I was leading that practice, or developing at that point, we were developing that capability and practice in, in the work that I lead. So that was my mandate. And all the colleagues, all the people that I hired were men. We found it really difficult to find women. So when we had the meeting with the vendor, mediated by the bank, and Jeeta turned out, I was like, wow, finally I see another woman here. This is great, right? And I don't think women should stereotype themselves and not try out the kind of stuff that Jeeta is doing. She's a founder of a very, very innovative company, right? So why not? It's so doable. We bring the skills, we bring the confidence to the table. So we like to always encourage women to try out new things and and push the envelope.
Thank you, Grace and Radish. Your story is like Grace starting from, I think, Grace, if I'm not mistaken, you have a degree from NTU, right? An engineering degree from NTU. And
yeah, I have an engineering degree from the first class universities from China, and I have an MBA from NTU.
MBA from NTU.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So, yeah, I was just noticing that, from engineering to, being in the bank and the risk and compliance space, and Radish, for you, starting from the law firm to a regulator and now in consulting, I think you both are really risk takers. And that's what it's all about, celebrating womanhood. I think, we all in our own way, with our intellect, with our grace, empathy, right? We really make things better for us and better for the people around us. So I would just like to understand from you, since we have met on this International Women's Day. So what does International Women's Day mean to you? What does that mean to you? Any one of you can go, or maybe both of you can respond to that.
Radish? Yeah, no,
Okay, I'll give it a go, right? And Grace and I are friends, so we can do this to each other, right?
Yeah.
Right. I think, look, International Women's Day is probably this is my interpretation of it, right? And look, there are many interpretations to it. I'd say that this is just a reminder to the world that we've arrived. Okay, women are here to stay, especially when it comes to the professional world, right? Whether people like yourself, Jeeta, founder to a very innovative company, Grace, who's been from an engineer who's gone up, scaffolding. My brothers are engineers, both of them, so I totally relate to you. It's something that I thought I could never do, right? But look at that. I have a friend today who's who could do it, right? And then from there went on and he's done something else very successfully. So I think that's what it is. But does it mean that we have to wait for Women's Day to recognize women? The answer is no, right? What we try to do, and what I've done in my role in diversity and inclusion, is to ensure that we push the envelope, push the agenda internally, and also get our male colleagues to buy into what we're doing, which is to support women who are capable, women who have merit, who bring skills, who bring capability to the table. They should not be shortchanged because they go on maternity leave, or because they have a family to look after, and therefore they need to log off at 6 o'clock. So they should not be marginalized because of those things, right? And when we hire, we again hire based on merit. But if there are women that bring all the tick all the boxes, right, and bring the skills that we're looking for and the capabilities or qualification that we're looking for to the table, then we ought to give them a chance, right? What we don't want is people saying, they're two good candidates, and men, the woman is probably better qualified, but there's a guy as well who's number two. I'll take him because he's not going to go on maternity leave, right? Those are the type of biases we want to remove. And the way we can do it is to do this on a daily basis, right? Push the agenda on a daily basis. We need to also get buy-in. We can't be aggressive about it. I think we need to get buy-in. We need to bring everybody to the table. And what I did when I first took on the diversity inclusion role is to get male sponsors to this, right? To say, look, we're in this together. We need to make sure that we equal opportunity employer. So we don't want anybody to be marginalized. Now, if a male colleague is better, then so be it. We acknowledge that, right? We also will recognize them equally, right? But yeah, coming back to your question, International Women's Day is possibly a reminder. But look, are we going to do this for the next 100 years? I don't know the answer to that, right? But I think for the next few years, it's something relevant for us to make sure that we're able to, bring women to the forefront in workforce, right? And I think with everything that we do, right? Grace, now your turn.
Okay, you got all the correct answers. I'm just kidding. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
You
Jeeta.
talked about, I was just thinking, because Radish mentioned about a very critical point about choosing a woman and a man, when it comes to hiring, maternity leaves. Actually, nobody talks about it, but that's our panel all about, being candid and being you, right? So, but that's the reality. You mentioned that you have 2 kids, right? So you got married, you got pregnant, you have, children, right? And you still are successful leader in risk and compliance. So why don't you state from that point of view what has been your learnings or how you have managed to still stay on the top? And
I'm not sure whether I don't like the idea of stay on the top though, because the only way is to go coming down, right? I think we'll continue to improve. Okay, I think yes. I actually echo the point when Radish mentioned, one man, one woman come to the interview if the same quality, and the comment of, oh, this guy, I mean, especially maybe late 20s, early 30s, is she going for maternity leave? This never occurred to me. But recently, I did hear this comment. I was like, wow, you actually had this thinking. I mean, that's some other senior leaders, male senior leaders, right? So what I did is I just shoot him back. I mean, being me, no nonsense type, right? So I was in my team. Let me think about it. In my team, the key leaders, probably majorities are women. I mean, I already asked the Lovina, right? Who is the audience of this? I don't want to say very wrong comments here, but to be frank, I think as what Radish mentioned, we are employing male and female. We have different kind of DNAs, right? The cognitive skills that Radish mentioned, all this, it's different. I would say the skill set can be different in certain areas, but as a whole, it's not saying one is superior to the other, right? So I would have to say in general, this is a little bit stereotyping maybe, but I think women generally is better at multitasking, right? So if in a certain leadership skills, I actually see women juggles better than certain men in general. In my team, I don't represent the whole population, right? I kind of believe there are some scientific support for these views. So depends on the skill set we are looking at in different roles. Definitely men and women will be excel in different areas. But coming to the top, what I can see in terms of diversity, inclusivity, right? I think at the top management level, a lot of times we don't see many women. Many times it's because of along the way they are sacrificed for families and all this, as what Jeeta pointed to me, right? This question in terms of the priority of the life, like at that point in time, right? At that point in time, you need to make a decision. My suggestion to the women here, especially younger ones, right? Who is hesitating, who is thinking about whether this is going to hamper my progress in the career, right? First thing is, I doubt very much so, right? With Jeeta here, with this event here, I really very much encouraged by this event. I'm sure Jeeta will at the top in the organization. That's very important. We don't want to do this just for show, right? It's really truly recognize women, support each other. Very important. My advice to those younger ones is really be authentic. To me, leadership is all about authenticity. You cannot fake yourself and try to please whoever the boss is, right? Whoever there, and try to see, oh, okay, no, I really hear stories about women at the late 20s or early 30s keep delaying their family plan just because the promotion is coming. And I don't want to do that, right? Because, let me get a promotion first. So I think, of course, each individual have your own priority. I think being authentic to yourself, that's most important as a not just as a woman, as a human, right? We want to live our life. And what's important to you at that moment. So even for my career choices, I said for Ernst & Young, I was really like high flyer, having a very good global account under me, fast track promotions, consecutive, years. It was actually never in Ernst & Young previous at that point in time, was never in Ernst & Young history have for every half a year accelerated promotions. That comes with sacrifice in the way, like you work very hard, you travel most of the time, you don't have any time for your boyfriend then, right? How to form a family. So you come to a stage, what is important for you at each phase of your life. If having a family is important, don't worry too much about a career. It will come, right? Your capability there, your competency is there. And trust me, if you have kids, you want to have a kids, you have a kids, form the family, the skill set you learned dealing with your kids is definitely applicable. Will help you with the career progression. So I think my advice to all the younger ones and the female here is, if you were facing that choice, I think you need to be true to yourself, not I'm doing this because I sacrifice for family, right? Or I'm doing this, I want a career, I want that recognition. I think most important is do yourself want it. That's most important, right? Because if you think it's a sacrifice, you are not going to be happy. Because to me, having kids is never a sacrifice. It's a brand new journey for me. I learned so much from this. Right now, my kids is secondary school. I learned so much from them. So I think that's important to remember. Do not think about certain decisions made by you. It's a sacrifice. I think that would be go along with you in a long way. Okay, that's what I want to share. A bit long-winded, but I hope I get my point is put through.
Yeah, definitely. I think you made a very strong statement, in encouraging women to lead the life that they want, and, there's a lot of things to learn from a new phase in life or new phase in their journey as well. So taking a little bit a different perspective, Radish, this question is to you, where you are leading a kind of a team, in Singapore, outside Singapore. So as a woman leader in power, let's say, when you build a team or when you hire people, what's your secret in building and leading teams in Singapore and globally? This question is for you. Yeah.
I think
Radish.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So look, I think women let's say women in leaders who are in charge, right? Let's put it that way. Now, how do we build the team? I think it's no different, right? Whether it's we building the team or a male colleague building the team, there's really no difference as such. But I take on Grace's point in something that we also live by, right? When we say be authentic leadership, right? It's a key thing today. Be yourself. You need to inspire your team. You need to lead your team, and you need to be fair and equitable as a leader, right? I think that's a starting point in terms of how you look at promotions, how you look at development, how you look at support, supporting your employees. How do you make their work interesting? So a lot of these things fall onto the shoulders of the leaders, that we are, and people that work along with us. And everybody is a leader in their own right in many different ways. So I think it's about really making sure that we can inspire our team members, right? There are many. Let's not kid ourselves, right? That there are no challenges here, right? It is retention and talent retention, especially when you have trained talent that is, your team A. They become highly marketable as well, right? There will be many organizations out there who are prepared to pay them 35% more, and we may have construct challenges within the organization where not that we monetarily can't meet that, but as a matter of policy we can't do it, right? Because we have skills, we have cycles in which we do promotions and increments and stuff like that. So I think those challenges are real. We all face that challenge. But what I've learned through the journey of many, many years, and even today, we have a team of 400 people, right, across the region. How do we keep them inspired? I think that's important. Listening to your team is important, listening skills. And I think women leaders have better listening skills. We don't jump at trying to solve the problem before the person finishes their sentence, right? So I think, so let's give ourselves a bit of a pat on the back that, look, we listen, and then we try to provide a solution. We also try and empower them. I believe in empowering and getting them to take ownership and lead what they're doing, what they like to do, what inspire them, what is, and also charting their career path. That's a discussion. Another hat I wore for a very long time was talent leader. So for me, it was, okay, take charge of your career. It can't be dependent on me, on your other partners and other colleagues who work with you, but you need to take charge of your career and chart it out and say, this is the way I want to go. These are the things that I like to specialize in. These are the skills I want to learn. This is the journey I want to be on. And these are things, I like the organization to support me with, right? So if you don't have a plan, don't expect somebody else to come up with a plan for you. So I think it's a two-way street. So that's one thing. But again, Jeeta, to answer your question, I think it's really empowering people. It's trying to inspire them that they come to work to do something interesting, right? And it can't always be a monetary war, as it were, right? Because that's the reality of talent war today. That is always about who's going to pay me more. And let's face it, we're all in here to earn a living. And for me, it's like my objective is I want to retire quickly. I don't want to slog for the rest of my life, right? So if someone else goes for, one of my colleagues come and tell me that, Radish, I'm leaving because, XYZ bank is paying me 35% more, I don't get upset with them. I always say, okay, take up that challenge, right? And let's remain friends, because our path will certainly cross, in the future for sure. And a lot of my colleagues who have left are still my friends. They come to my house for dinner, we meet up, we talk about, interesting things that they're doing, how they're evolving as, as professionals. And it's amazing for me to see that people that, join my team as, junior analysts and then work their way up and today are such evolved professionals, right? There's this satisfaction in that. So I think it's, we need to see the bigger picture, right? And yeah, I'd say that, look, there's just for me, there's no science to it, right? It's more of an art, I would say. But really empower people and, let them be inspired. And sometimes they need to tell you what inspires them to, do well at work.
I think that's amazing. Anything, Grace, you would like to add, or you echo Radish, in how you have led teams, which has men and women, of course, globally. Anything you would like to add to what Radish mentioned?
Totally echo what Radish has been seeing, especially in the past 1 to 2 years in the fintech space, right? So I joined my current organization about 2 years ago when I was the #1 employee on the banking side to build the digital bank, right? There's nobody there. And right now I have about 100 over staff under me. Some are in our Indonesia and some other locations. The talent war is crazy. I think Singapore is still relatively mild. If you look at the places like Indonesia or Philippines, the talent crunch is really there. Radish showed a number of 35%, right? I recently lost 2 staff in Indonesia. The offer, one is more than 50% increase. The other one is 100%. I have absolutely there's no way for me to kind of come out a counter offer, because we have policies, we have things like that, right? Most of them come in, we train them very hard, about 8 to 10 months, and they can find a very good offer outside in these markets. So, I mean, as what Radish, and I really know Radish keep contact with the resigned staff, have a very good networking. I have to learn from Radish in this aspect. I don't, I have to struggle with my turtle and kittens after work. But yeah, I think build that network is really important. I think right now we use quite a bit of network, our own network, to try to retain talent and of course recruit talent. The other thing is that I believe, as I said, I'm really true to myself, and I true to my staff, right? In a way, right? I do have a plan for every one of them to groom them. Even, it's getting more harder and harder because 100 over people, when it's still growing 20 to 50, I have one-to-one with them at least every month, and I talk about a career plan for them, right? I can set a very high standard in terms of work standard. That's not going to job, but I'm telling them, okay, what's my plan for you? What I see your weakness, or which are areas that you should improve. When the time comes, then I will create visibility for them, right? Let's be real. If you want a promotion and you are having a committee panel to debate that, you need to expose these staff to different stakeholders, right? So they know you, at least they hear the name when you are debating on the numbers, or on the staff names, quota, then you can put up for them. So I think I do genuinely for all the staffs, I think identify the talent and have a career path for them. Of course, if the candidate thinks that outside, I'm just chasing money, it's important for me. For example, right now I'm going to get married. I need to pay for my house. I think I cannot resist a 35% increment. That's all I can do, right? So from my perspective as a leader, if you are under my care, I look after you, we grow together, we progress together. So I think that's important. But at each position, it's tough. It's also a learning point for me, because I put in all my heart to groom each one of them. If they decide to leave, I think I would really give my blessing, because as what Radish said, in this market, Singapore market is very, very small. I think it's not just Singapore market, even in the fintech space right now, you talk about China, India, Singapore, and then we talk about Southeast Asia, this region, a few rising countries, probably the market, we know the key players. So I think it's good to keep the networking on, and like what Radish said, you never know. But my advice to all the professionals, right? At each point, we will not know your personal life, your priorities, and what you are going after at that point in time, right? But important is don't burn the bridge. Never burn the bridge, because the market is small, right? Having a good relationship, appreciate the mentorship you have been getting, and also appreciate the friendship you have made is important.
I think very well said. And these are some of the lessons, it's alike for leadership team in Tookitaki and all the people in Tookitaki to learn, so the leadership team can take back. Just summing up, for our members, what I'm hearing from you both, that, spend time with your people, groom them, right? Inspire them, make the work interesting and fun for them. And for the people, I think, and also I think for the leadership, give your blessings, don't take it personal if a person resigns. And for the person as well, appreciate your manager's effort in grooming you, and be with the company to progress. And even if you choose to leave, stay friends, stay in the network, I think. And very well put, I think, for both of you.